Hey guys, it's Sandro here. In today's video is a comparison of 4 spray sealants, including Sonax Brilliant Shine, PolishAngel High Gloss, Bowden Zone Fully Slick, and Zaino Z8 Grand Finale. Now the reason I've chosen these particular 4 sealants for this review is that they are all spray sealants that you guys have continuously asked me to review in the past. So in this video, I'll be displaying their performance in a variety of areas such as their user experience, gloss levels, slickness, hydrophobic behavior, and chemical resistance to allow you guys to judge the results for yourselves. But I'll also be drawing on my past experience with them to help with my conclusions. And my goal and purpose here isn't to try and convince you that one is better than the other, but rather help highlight and display their differences so that you guys can make well-informed decisions when it comes to buying them. The first area I want to discuss is their user experience. I'll start by saying that if you use any of these spray sealants as recommended by their manufacturer, which is generally the same for all of them in using minimal product, working small areas and on cool panels out of direct sunlight, the truth is that you really shouldn't have any issues with any of them, with quite a nice user experience across the board. But in saying that, it's also quite evident that some of these sealants are a little easier and more forgiving and quicker to work with. And if your environment is outdoors and a hotter climate, or you start to push their application a little further, by working larger areas, these differences do become a lot more obvious. So starting with Sonax Brilliant Shine, I'll say once again that when used sparingly and when working smaller sections, with an immediate wipe on and wipe off method, it's really quite a decent user experience. Though in comparison to the other 3 sealants, it's quite obvious that it does take a little more effort and it's a little more grippy to work with. However, when working outdoors on warmer days, it did become substantially more difficult to work with, requiring a lot more effort and speed to avoid streaks in the finish. So although in ideal conditions I had no issues using it, I wouldn't recommend using it in the summer season, at least here in Australia. From a look, feel and even smell perspective, PolishAngel High Gloss is definitely the most unique sealant here. It applies quite thickly with a strong vibrant colour as you spray it on, but beyond those initial observations it really applies like every other spray sealant out there. In comparison to Brilliant Shine, I found that it was less grippy to spread and a little slower to flash, meaning that it was a little more forgiving to work with, especially outdoors, with less chance of streaking. And although I wouldn't say that High Gloss is the easiest and quickest sealant I've ever worked with, I would say that it's one of the better ones. Maybe it's more about its look and feel, but I have to say that it's a really rewarding product to work with that just feels a little more special than the others. But I also want to add that that's really more of a personal thing rather than an objective user performance characteristic. You'll find with Bowden Zone Fully Slick that it initially has a bit of grip for the first wipe or two of your cloth, but then it turns to absolute butter as you continue wiping, which is a really nice, pleasurable experience. Much like PolishAngel High Gloss, I wouldn't say that it's the quickest or easiest sealant I've ever used, but it's definitely one of the better ones from a user perspective. And it does seem to level down a little quicker than High Gloss, actually closer to Brilliant Shine in that area, but with a much more forgiving user experience outdoors, with less chance of streaks based on my testing. Out of all 4 sealants here, Zaino Z8 Grand Finale is quite noticeably the quickest, most adaptable and most forgiving one to use. Now, although it doesn't have that buttery, smooth feel of Fully Slick, or that thicker, vibrant look of High Gloss, as it is quite watery in look and feel, it does give a super quick, no fuss application that in many cases can completely level down perfectly with just your first cloth, not even needing a second cloth to buff it streak free. And although I wouldn't recommend using any of these sealants in direct sunlight, if I did have to use one, Grand Finale would definitely be my choice with its speedy, almost self-leveling application that is much more forgiving in warmer outdoor environments. Now to try and show you guys on camera some of the results that I've achieved and the differences that I've noticed between these 4 spray sealants, I applied them side by side on this flat black panel that was hazed and swirled, so that the results and differences would show up better in the footage and allow you guys to judge them for yourselves. and after the panel was prepared, it was left to cure for 24 hours before the testing took place. I'll start by saying that unlike quite a few sealants that I've used in the past that claim to boost gloss levels yet do next to nothing, hopefully you can see that all 4 of these sealants have in fact amplified the gloss, saturation and clarity of the paint compared to the untreated paint. However, it's also fair to say that some have performed noticeably better than the others. I think it's fair and quite apparent to see that Bowden Zaino Fully Sleek has had the most impact in darkening the paint, filling in and masking the haze and swirls while improving gloss and clarity. Second place would have to go to Sonax Brilliant Shine, which is just a step behind, and third place would be PolishAngel High Gloss, that once again is just another step behind. And although I wouldn't say that Zaino Z8 was disappointing, as it still managed to add a notable level of gloss, it wasn't quite in the same league as the others. The next test was slickness, or the lack of friction that each of these sealants generates on the paint. Now, out of all the tests, this was the one that actually had the most diversity and really highlighted some differences. Starting with Brilliant Shine, I've got to be honest in saying that it doesn't create much of a slick feel at all. In fact, compared to the bare paint, it does very little to amplify slickness or reduce friction to a noticeable level. And apart from how my old ceramic coating bottle struggles to glide down it, you can actually really feel the grip by just running your hand over it. High Gloss actually created a nice slick feel, and I'll actually add Zaino Z8 here, as both of them were very close in this area. Though if I had to choose a winner between them, I'd say that Z8 was just ever so slightly slicker to the touch. But on the complete other end of the spectrum, in comparison to Brilliant Shine's tacky feel, was Fully Sleek's amazing silky slick feel that, as you hopefully can see, my old ceramic coating bottle just shot off it like a bullet, with next to no friction whatsoever, and it just had that addictive slick feel that just felt amazing. So onto the hydrophobic water behaviour of these products. Now at first, it may be difficult to spot a clear difference in the water behaviour of each of these sealants, as overall they all are quite decent. But as I progress and start using a few different water patterns to wet the panel, you'll hopefully be able to see that there are some definite higher performing products here with much more rapid water sheeting abilities and much more pronounced water bead contact angles. In fact, there are 2 sealants that displayed quite a superior water behaviour, while the other 2 I'd say were still quite decent but just not in the same league. At the top of the list, I must say that Brilliant Shine really impressed me in this area. As much as I tried to flood the panel with water, it just as quickly repelled it with instant water sheeting and a fantastic water contact angle, displaying some of the nicest water beads I've seen from just about any spray sealant. But in saying that, High Gloss was really up there and just a step behind, taking just a fraction longer to sheet the water and almost displaying identical water contact angles. Now, as I mentioned, all these sealants do display good water behaviour, but in comparison to Brilliant Shine and High Gloss, Fully Sleek was definitely a couple of steps behind, not having that same rapid water sheeting ability or displaying those almost perfect rounded water beads. And in 4th place, Z8 was just another step behind, again getting a little more waterlogged than the rest and displaying slightly flatter and irregular water beads, but by no means having poor water behaviour as far as paint sealants go in general. The last test in this video was chemical resistance, which to some degree helps judge their durability. Now, as is the case with much of the testing that I've done in the last few years, there does seem to be a correlation between superior hydrophobic behaviour and chemical resistance, though it's by no means always the case. However, in this particular case with these particular sealants, I have in fact seen these similar results with all the testing I've done to date, and it seemed to stay true for this particular panel as well. Brilliant Shine was yet again the most chemical resistant sealant here, and based on past testing, it also seems to last the longest out of the four. And as was the case with the hydrophobic behaviour, High Gloss was yet again just a step behind, and I'd comfortably say that both of them in most circumstances could last up to 6 months if applied to well prepared bare paint. Now, although Fully Slick and Z8 were affected to a larger degree by the degreaser, and in my experience so far won't tend to last quite as long, I found Fully Slick to be a little more durable than Z8, and even after its water behaviour was diminished, I could still see a portion of its gloss levels remaining on the paint. I'll just sum up this video with a few more points and my conclusions. Now, generally I don't like focusing on cost too much, as what I pay for products is very different to what you guys pay in the States, Europe, Canada, and the rest of the world. But based on pricing here in Australia, Fully Slick is definitely the cheapest, coming in at $23 for 750 mils. And although Sonax Brilliant Shine isn't available here locally, and the shipping actually costs more than the sealant itself, it seemed to be just slightly more expensive than Fully Slick, that is if you leave out the shipping cost. Zaino cost about $40 here, but it only comes in a 500ml bottle, so it actually ends up costing almost twice as much as the other two. And I hope you guys are sitting down for this one, as High Gloss is priced here at $160 for 500ml, which makes it 4 to 5 times more expensive than the others, which is a little crazy with all things considered. If there's two areas that Brilliant Shine really excels in, it would be hydrophobic behaviour and chemical resistance or durability, though it's also important to mention that its gloss levels are still quite good. Its feel or slickness is perhaps its worst feature, but I realise that not everyone cares about that. In average to colder climates, Brilliant Shine could be a fantastic overall sealant to use, but in hotter climates, especially outdoors, I just don't feel that it's a great choice based on the far more difficult user experience. Although High Gloss may not have come in first place in any of these tests, it also never came close to being last. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, based on testing over 100 different paint sealants in the past, that it's without a doubt one of the best ones I've ever used. I'll also add that I have used it quite a lot in the past, and I personally really enjoy the experience of applying it, more so than the others. But I never used it in my business due to its crazy cost. Although it does feel special, it honestly doesn't deliver results that can't be found in something far more affordable. Fully Slick hits two nails bang on the head with its outstanding levels of gloss matched to an outstanding silky slick feel. But beyond that, its more than reasonable price makes it fantastic value. It may not be the most durable or have the best water behaviour of the bunch, but as I mentioned, I wouldn't say those characteristics are bad. Z8 Grand Finale is another sealant that I've used for a number of years and I've always really liked it. It does sit at more of a mid price point, but it ticks quite a few boxes, such as its slickness, but the most obvious being its fantastic adaptable user experience that allows you to apply it with ease in many different environments and also in a much quicker and more rapid manner, making it a very time and cost effective sealant to work with. But in saying that, at least in today's market, it does fall a little short in other areas, such as gloss, water behaviour and chemical resistance. Though to be fair, I don't feel that it's bad in those areas, just not quite as good as the others here today. As I mentioned at the start of this video, my goal with these product reviews isn't to sway you into choosing one over the other, but to share the information that I've discovered about them and let you decide what's most important to you. And I know for a fact that not everybody cares about the same things when it comes to a paint sealant, as some of you want the most durable one, while others actually enjoy reapplying and just want the best looking one, or the one that feels the nicest or creates those beautiful dancing water beads every time you wash the car. And there's no right or wrong choice, and there's no one sealant that does it all. Just the one that best fulfills your own specific needs. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please share, like, comment and subscribe to this channel to show your support for these videos, and I'll see you guys soon.